What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Emporium's TV review of Suspicion Season 1, Episode 3, which is called Strangers. This episode is directed by Stefan Schwartz. Now, as always, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell, top the fun's coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button, as well as commenting below on any video to watch, including this one. Okay, so this episode is what I call follow the suspicious people, to be fairly honest. And it starts out with the kind of aftermath of the hashtag true stuff, which is where basically the people who have kidnapped Leo's character, and in essence, Catherine Newton has been given an ultimatum. It basically says you either tell the truth, tell what you're up to, or we kill your son. You imagine something's going to come to light, because if you've seen the trailer, you know she's being interviewed for some particular reason. So what ends up happening, we'll find out, because it doesn't happen in this episode, but it will happen in later episodes, I'm sure. But that basically leads into the crux of the story. We basically follow each individual that was arrested last week, which of course was Adesh, Tara, and Natalie. They were going back to their homes. They're being pretty much exclusively followed by not only the UK police. They have like every form of communication device on them, which includes, being tailed and followed by individuals, as well as like CCTV cameras, and just everything about their life is being followed, so that if they mess up, they can be arrested again. And basically, I'll do like the smaller portions, then I'll go into Natalie, which has the most stuff going on in this episode. But in the first kind of section, we have Tara, or not really the first section, but we have Tara's character, who's coming back, and she is basically trying to get back into her normal life and stuff like that. She watches on TV about the, particular arrest, or what they're trying to look for Sean's character. The FBI puts it out there. There's a whole big thing with Vanessa and Scott having a back and forth about, trying to keep this quiet, but now the FBI has put it out in the open, which has made it harder for them to do their job, which makes sense. But Tara tries to go back to school, and she's confronted by her boss, or whoever the professor is in this episode, and he warns her. He's like, if this becomes too much, we will have to, put you on sabbatical. We have to let you go, whatever they have to do. She's like, I promise I'm doing everything in my power to, keep this under check. It was a mistake. Well, it leads basically to her going back to her class. They make a joke, so on and so forth. They have the mask of the kidnappers, which is funny how people think this is a joke, because somebody's been kidnapped, so they're just doing, what kids do, I guess. But she tries to go back to her ex and see her daughter, and it doesn't go very well. And it basically leads to Tara going back to school, or going back to teach, and Heather's there, and she shows her phone to Tara, which basically reveals that she was one of the people arrested for this incident, and names the school, blah blah blah. And it's very much a showing that she's kind of, her life's being ruined by this whole particular situation. She kind of loses her job. She's trying to do everything in her power to, go back to normal. And that's pretty much where her story leaves off. There's not really much information. Like I said, we just find out that she loses her job. The stuff that's going on with her kid is just it's a mess right now. And we'll see where her story goes from there. Like I said, the thing about this series that's a little problematic is they're doing one character, and then they're going into maybe a little bit of information of the other characters, but it always seems like one gets the short shrift in the episode, which is happening in the last few episodes. So we'll see where that goes from there. But I hope she gets more to do in the series, or I'm going to worry that they're going to keep her. She's going to be one of those characters that gets left behind, and she just becomes like a background character. But we'll see. Like I said, there's not much stuff. Like I said, watch TV, loses her job, all that good stuff. But when it comes to like Adesh, for instance, he is the most tragic of all the characters. Whatever he did in New York we'll push that to the side, because it's not really fully explained. But if he's innocent, and everything about him is innocent outside of trying to get a job, to improve his life, then he really is the most tragic character outside of Leo in this episode. And so we go to Adesh's character, which has a little more substance, and unless he comes out to be like one of the true people that, kidnap Leo, he is one of the most tragic characters on the show, to be fairly honest. And the reason I say that is he goes back home after being arrested. He is basically confronted and guilt tripped by, I thought it was his wife's father. I still think it is, but like I said, I must have missed something there between the 3 episodes. But anyways, the patriarch of the family is like, you're never going to be anything. You are the worst individual. It's like the worst thing you can hear. It is really degrading what this patriarch does to this poor guy. I mean, if he kidnapped it, no wonder why he kidnapped the patriarch. Oh my God. So Adesh decides he's going to get a job at the carpet store that the rest of the family works at, and it seems to go pretty well. It's like, he has a job, his wife seems happy. Then the conspiracy theorist nuts come out in the woodwork, and they one of them wants to take video footage with Adesh, and it doesn't go very well. He's like, we'll do this outside, and he's trying to get him outside the building so the family doesn't see it. But in the process of everything, Adesh goes to take a lunch break or something like that, and he's bombarded. He's swarmed by all these people because all the people that were arrested are now in the open as the individuals who were, the cause of the incident or supposedly cause of the kidnapping. We don't know yet. In the process, he's swarmed by all these people, including the conspiracy theory nut. And he escapes back into the building, and when he's at home, in essence, what happens is the family's really despondent of him. They're not happy with him. And then his wife's like, I'm not going with you. We're not leaving. I'm not leaving. You can go off on your own. I'm done with this. It basically is the worst case scenario for a family that just really puts too much pressure on somebody. And Adesh is just, if he's not part of the kidnapping, he literally is the most tragic character because he's just piles and piles and piles of negativity is put on him, and he's at a loss for words when everything happens, and it's really depressing and really sad to see. His wife doesn't even want anything to do with him anymore, and that's pretty much where his character is let off. Like I said, these characters don't really get a lot to do is until Natalie's character, which has all the stuff to do in this episode, that really feels like these two characters are getting pushed by the wayside for an episode. It's like, it almost feels like, there's going to be a revolving story of characters where next week it's going to be all about Adesh and everybody else is going to get pushed to the side. So I don't know what they're doing here. It's a little problematic in the fact that it doesn't feel like, even after there's 4, I think there's 8 episodes in the series and we're already in episode 4, and it doesn't feel like there's anything gelling this series together. It feels like these characters are still kind of just out in the weeds, thrown out there. It's like, what is going on? What is the actual purpose? Is it going to do something? And I worry by episode 8 or however many episodes are in the series, that we're just going to be at a loss about what's going on. And I think next episode is going to delve deep farther into what's going on. They've introduced a new character, which I'll talk about last. But yeah, at this point, I'm just not really feeling the series at the moment. Like, it's weird because I went from this series being pretty awesome. They need to progress further. There just needs to be something that happens that is going to get these people together. Like I said, it's in the trailer that these people do eventually get together, but when does that happen? Is it going to be like episode 7 of 8 when this happens, and they're just going to be like, we were all the kidnappers? I mean, I don't know exactly what's going on there, but at that point, it's just, we'll figure it out when we figure it out. But in the process of everything, Vanessa and Scott are going back and forth. Apparently, the #truth has to do with the ambassadorship, of course, of Catherine Newton. They're following Natalie's character through most of this episode, which is the bulk of this whole entire episode. And basically, Natalie goes back home, tries to settle everything with her fiance and her sister and mother and stuff like that. She tries to go back up to the room to get the money and the phone that she hid up there. Of course, Monique found the money and the phone. She gets a text message from Sean that says, we'll meet at this certain location, be there, blah, blah, blah. She confronts Natalie's character about it. Natalie's like, I don't know what you're talking about at first, and then she spoils that. In essence, what is happening in this episode is Natalie is revealed to be a person who is embezzling money for corporate companies. She has created a shell company. She's embezzling money. And as we learn, it pops up later, but as we learn, it involves Catherine Newton's character. That's pretty crazy to think about if you really honestly think about it. Because Natalie and Adesh, Hara's character, it's really interesting, these 3 characters, because you learn that they have some connection to Catherine Newton some way. Tara, the whole incident with Leo, and accepting the fact that he was there honestly, it's, she really hated Catherine Newton for it. Adesh trying to get a job with a company run by Catherine Newton's company, and then of course we learn Natalie is embezzling money, taking money away from Catherine Newton's character, away from stealing from Catherine Newton. So that's a big thing. And it sounds like Sean might have something to do with Catherine Newton. There's just a whole big bunch of weird arcs. I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going on with Sean's character, but she decides she's going to take the money money and give it to Sean, but Monique's like, I can help you, blah, blah, blah. They meet in an alley. This is when we find out that they're the true nature of Vanessa and Scott's plan, which is to follow everybody closely. So there's people, they're watching from CCTV cameras. But Natalie makes her way up to her old office. Monique decides that she's going to betray what Natalie asked her, which is not what not to do, is go meet Sean, which could be dangerous because, as we've seen, he's pretty much a killer. And she goes up to the office. She realizes she's been fired, as she probably predicted she was going to be. And in essence, what ends up happening is she does a trick on I think it's the secretary, whatever, and she has the secretary go get her coffee. She knows about a security key for the computer that's in the desk. She takes it out. She starts wiring money, like wiring to people. She's basically embezzling still, trying to, erase all the stuff, but also do what she needs to do. We find out that all her keystrokes and all what she's doing is being monitored by the UK police, including Vanessa, which I'll talk about in a second, my worries about that kind of stuff. But in essence, she is officially arrested after this all goes down. We find out that they've been following her. They know exactly what she's doing. Her fiance decides to come in and help her as her lawyer, even though she's like very against that. And they are basically approached by Vanessa. It's like, we want the whole story. We want to know what's going on. Joe, who's Vanessa's husband, Joe, who's Natalie's husband, is like, we don't want you to talk about this, but Natalie's like, wants to talk about it. And that leads into them knowing that that Monique is going to talk to Sean, which is a very dangerous situation. It's like, you need to get my sister out of there. And then we see, of course, like I said, we see portions of Monique basically texting back and forth with Sean, like, where do you want me to read you? Where do you want me to lead you? And blah, blah, blah. And Sean's like, doing what Sean does. He like gets a phone. He realizes he's being, by the FBI, he's being followed and stuff like that. So he goes to try and get the money. And in the process of everything, Natalie's like, if you save my sister, I will tell you everything. And that's what ends up happening. Monique and Sean get in the mix of this like group of individuals, like vacationers and stuff like that. In essence, the police basically catch take Monique before Sean can stab her because he has a knife. Basically, they bring her to the jail cell, and then Natalie kind of spills everything that's happening. He's like, I'm not an embezzler. And they're like, well, you're shell company money, so you obviously are. But in the process of everything, Sean texts back to Natalie saying, this is not how this works. They basically offered Natalie a deal. We'll let you talk to your sister for a couple minutes if you tell Sean that you're going to meet up with him to get him money, because they need to arrest Sean because Sean's a very dangerous individual. And so she agrees to it. She texts Sean, says she'll meet him tomorrow. Everything, hunky-dory, I guess you could say. Sean's like, I'll give you the location. And this is how they apparently are going to arrest Sean maybe in the next episode. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But in the process of everything, Natalie tries to talk to Monique and stuff like that. And then that's kind of where her whole entire story ends at this episode. But Vanessa allows Natalie to talk to Monique to, kind of explain everything. And that's kind of where the story ends with these particular individuals for this episode. Because, like I said, you need more story. So we'll see how it plays out. But it's just the thing I have, I'll get into like the end portion in a second. But the thing I have problems with is the simple fact that the idea and concepts of how scary it is that the government can basically watch your every single move, and that the technology is so advanced now that you could literally be walking in your own house and they have some way of monitoring you. And that's how this episode is. I think this is what the series is also trying to tell us, is how easy it is for governments or police departments or the FBI to monitor somebody, and how well the advancement of technology has gotten. And it really shows. I mean, they were able to pinpoint where Natalie was going. They kept an eye on Monique, and they were able to do this. They were able to even see the keystrokes that Natalie was doing on that computer. It's like, wow. I mean, if you think about it, it's really scary to think about, to be fairly honest. And that's the whole idea. What the show's doing is how technology can be used in a very unscrupulous process, as well as used to track down individuals that might be under investigation or something like that. So I thought that was interesting. I think it's kind of scary to think about that it's really that, but it's been like that for a while, and it's never going to change. But there are certain liberties that some some people take to do what they need to do to get the job done. So we'll see how that plays out later on, but I thought it was interesting. So we get to the last part of the episode. This is where the last character is introduced. Vanessa and Scott are brought into a room, and we haven't seen this character yet. He was in the trailer, but he's not being introduced to the third episode. But his character is named Eddie Walker. He's played by Tom Rhys Harries, and he's an individual. It looks like he's the life of the party. He's having fun. He's drinking, and basically he's arrested on the spot, and he says, is this about Leo Newman? And you're like, what is going on here? He's a student from Oxford, and apparently he has some kind of connection with Leo in some form, maybe a friend, who knows. But that's where the episode ends, is with his character being introduced. So he's going to be in the fourth episode. And I did say we have 4 episodes left. We really have 5 episodes left because this is the third episode. I'm thinking that they released 3 episodes at once, but I forgot it was just 2. So with that said, that is the episode that is Strangers, is another piece in the puzzle to whatever is going on in this series. It's a series that needs to move quicker, to be fairly honest. I don't think it's giving us enough information about these individuals. I know there's 5 episodes left, but it still just needs to pick up the pace a little bit. I worry that, like I said, we're going to get to the end of the series. It's not going to be what we expect or not what we want, and it's just not going to give us enough. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I enjoy it still. I probably would give it like an 8 out of 10. It's an episode that just needed more punch, more push forward, I guess you could say, more, oomph, I guess is the best way to put it. I think it's an episode that gives us some information about Natalie, but doesn't really give us any new information about any of the other characters. And I feel like there could be so much more that they could add. I think these characters are being put on one side, and then one character is being used, and then they put in the other piece. It's like one side of the chessboard is being used, and the other side is just kind of... So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like I said, 8 out of 10 is fine. I'm wondering how they're going to continue next week, which is probably all going to be about Eddie Walker's character, which I assume. So, and yeah, that'll do it. That'll be my take on Suspicion Season 1, Episode 3, which, of course, is called Strangers. Comments below. What do you think of the episode? What was your overall feeling on it? But otherwise, if you like what you see on this video, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming in next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.